After months of everyone stressing over how to get a COVID-19 vaccine appointment, well, imagine being able to show up, get a shot, no registration necessary. Well, that's a reality now for some Maryland mass vaccination sites. Let's talk about what you need to know tonight. So, what sites are offering the no appointment walk-up lines? Well, there are two sites, in fact. They're at the Wimico Youth and Civic Center site in Salisbury, Maryland, and the Hagerstown Premium Outlets. The state expects more sites to open. We'll keep you posted when that happens. And that leads us yet to another question. Should you even bother making an appointment now? Well, the answer on that one is yes. Although these sites, well, they sound great, there's no guarantee that you'll get a vaccine if you show up. And there's no word on how long that wait could be. Governor Larry Hogan says the fastest, most efficient way to get vaccinated is by pre-registering for an appointment. As for D.C. and Virginia, are they planning to implement no appointment necessary vaccination sites? Well, Virginia's vaccine coordinator, Dr. Danny Avula, says the state isn't planning to open up public walk-up vaccination lines. Our team reached out to the D.C. Department of Health. We're still waiting on a response, but the district has not announced plans for any such sites in the near future. We have links on how you can make an appointment to get the vaccine and everything you need to know on our mobile app and our website, WUSA9.com.